Hey guys, what is up and welcome to my channel. It's a Hardback Life. My name is Jordan and today we're going to talk about the series that I want to finish in 2023. And I think there's a total of about 15, so I'm going to try and get through them pretty quickly. So without further ado, you guys, let's get started. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Crave. This is the special edition version of this book because the original copy is actually a black cover and it's behind me. But I think this is prettier. I just bought it. This is about a girl named Grace who has to move to Alaska from San Diego, California because her parents unfortunately die and she has to go live with the only remaining family she has. And they live in Alaska, and she attends this boarding school that her uncle runs. And what she doesn't know is that there's some mysterious things going on at this boarding school. Specifically of the magical kind. Every single person in the school is a magical creature or being, And this book, I read it last year. And I reread it this year because, I don't know, I just needed to refamiliarize myself with the characters and the story. And this is for anyone who would want a better vampire romance fantasy for YA. This is it. This is it's similar to Twilight and the fact that we have a young girl who moves to a different state and who falls in love with a vampire kind of thing. But it's way better than that, and our vampire in this one is better and fleshed out more and stuff like that. But I will say, when I did read it, the first couple hundred pages is mostly character development and world building, and the rest of it, the story is throughout, but the plot, or like the driving force of the story, happens halfway through the book. And I definitely say stick with it if you get a little annoyed by the first half, because it gets better. And I started book 2 a few months ago. I might need to restart it because, I don't know, it's blanking from my mind, even though the second book takes off where this one left off. So, this is the first one, Crave. The second one is Crush. The third one, I think, is called Covet. And then we have Court, then Cherish, and then Charm. No, Charm and then Cherish. And yeah, so there's 6 books in the series. So I need to book it and read this series pronto. The second book series I'm going to talk about is a middle grade. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention it. These are all fantasy. So, yeah. So these are all fantasy-related series. The next book I'm talking about is Children of the Red King. This series is a middle grade. It's about a boy named Charlie Bone who finds out that he has an ability, and he has to unfortunately go to this school for gifted children called Bloom Academy. I think it's called Bloom's or Blores Academy. I can't remember. Anyway, he's forced to go to this school by his family, and when he's there, he finds out that there is other children like him, and not just children like him. There's other gifted kids who are gifted in the arts, gifted in mathematics and stuff like that. But in this series, Charlie and his friends have to stop something bad that happens in the school in each book. And by the way, our main character, Charlie Bone, his gift is he has the ability to communicate with the people in photographs. And his ability is more explained and expanded throughout the series. This is book 4, by the way, called Charlie Bone in the Castle of Mirrors. I read the first 2 in 2022, or I reread them in 2022, and then I read the third one. This was a childhood book series that wasn't completed when I originally read it, and then I stopped reading them after a while, and I've since collected them and gotten back into the series. Each book gets better. Like, I finished the third book, I think, back in March or April, and I've been meaning to read the series and continue it and finish it. And there's 8 books in this series, by the way, so I have a lot to read. And I'm really excited to read this one specifically, because obviously it's the next one. This next one is a duology, and it's the Monsters of Verity duology by V.E. Schwab. This book series focuses on 2 main characters, a human and a monster-like creature. Our monster-like creature has the ability to, I think, capture people's souls through song or something like that. And he has a magical violin that helps him do that. And the monsters and the humans are at war with each other. And our main character that's human, her dad is the leader of the people who are part of the war on the human side. So she's conflicted. But she and the monster become close friends. And the monster's name was August, I believe. And the main girl's name is Kate. This is by V.E. Schwab. This is a YA. And I've already started. I started this month. I just got to finish the first book, and then I'm going to read book 2 in October. So, definitely looking forward to this one. Our next 2 book series go hand in hand. They are spin-offs of each other. And the first one is a trilogy called Carve. And the next one is another trilogy called Once Upon a Broken Heart. Now, Carve is completed. Once Upon a Broken Heart is not. The final book in Once Upon a Broken Heart comes out next month, and I cannot wait for it. I've pre-ordered it, so it's going to come to my door. But, oh my god, the way this book ended, the second book called The Ballad of Never After ended, was crazy. And just let me get you guys into the synopsis of each of these. Carve is about 2 sisters, Scarlet and Donatella. Scarlet is the older one of the 2, and the more practical and logical type of person, versus Donatella, who is the dreamer. And they live with their father, who has basically kind of turned on them ever since their mother left him, and he's been mistreating them ever since. And the both of them would love nothing more than to get away. And one of our characters, Donatella, would love to go to this magical circus called Carve, which only appears in certain cities every now and then, every so often. And for, like, obviously a short amount of time. And Donatella has written letters to the headmaster of this circus multiple times, but she's never been accepted to go to Carve until this year when her sister Scarlett does it on her behalf. And they get there and everything is not what it seems, basically. And there's a whole bunch of craziness that happens and a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away the story or the plot too much and spoil it for you. But I love this book. I gave it 5 stars because, I mean, it's a mystery. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just crazy. And I planned on reading book 2, Legendary, last year when I read this one. Didn't happen. So I'm going to remedy that and read Legendary as soon as possible. And then finally read Finale, which is up there on my bookshelf. And hopefully I will love the conclusion. And the spin-off series, Once Upon a Broken Heart, is about a girl named Evangeline Fox, who is brokenhearted at the beginning of this series. The love of her life is set to marry someone else somehow. And she doesn't know what to do. So she decides to go to one of the fates that was in the Carve trilogy and make a deal with him, a bargain, if you will. She wants him to stop the wedding, and if he stops the wedding, she'll do whatever he wants. And she doesn't know what she's asking for when she does this, honestly. Because when he stops the wedding all right, but at a cost. And she's stuck with him until the bargain that she has made with him is fulfilled. And the first book, I read it in 2022 twice. The first time I read it in April of 2022, I didn't love it. And I think that's partly because I totally was not focused on it. I just read it to get through it. And then, you know what? I was thinking book 2 was going to come out, so I am going to reread this to decide on whether I was going to pick up book 2. And I read this again in September of 2022 when the second book was coming out. And I loved it more the second time. And yeah, there was a lot of things I apparently missed when I was reading this book for the first time. Because yeah, when I kept saying when I was reading it the second time, when did this happen? Or that happened? What the heck? And because of that, like I said, I enjoyed this book more because I paid more attention. And yeah, it was a fun time. Even more fun time than the second time. And then this book was a hit for me from beginning to end. And this book, though, destroyed me at the end because there was this crazy cliffhanger, which I will not share the spoilers for that. Because book 3 comes out next month. I pre-ordered it months ago. And it's going to be at my door in October of 2023. So I am looking forward to book 3, which is called The Curse for True Love. This is the Ballad of Never After. The next series I'm going to talk about is a trilogy as well. And it is called the Black Jewel series, written by Anne Bishop. This is a fantasy that is, I would say, it's a dark fantasy because we have a young girl who is a witch who is set to be queen, and then we have three other main characters, three men who are thirsty for power, and she is one way they can get that power, or at least they're thirsty for more power. And the magic system in this book series is very interesting because every person gets a jewel at birthright. It's their birthright, and each jewel signifies how powerful they are and can become. And I have to read this book soon. It's a priority, this book series soon, because it's a favorite of one of my good friends from Barnes & Noble. It's his favorite series of all time. So we have Daughter of the Blood, which is book 1. Heir of the Shadows, which is book 2. And Queen of the Darkness, which is book 3. I'm definitely going to talk about each of these books when I read them one at a time, and then probably do a book review on them. And then also I'm going to talk to my friend about them because he wants me to read this series so bad. So that's all I'm going to do. The next book series I'm going to talk about is the First Law trilogy. This is about a group of 6 characters who have had a series of misfortunes that have happened in their life. And there's also a couple wars going on or something. And they work together to do something. I don't know. I don't know too much about this series. All I know is it's been praised for a lot of things. Like the character work that Joe Abercrombie does is really good, I have heard. And I'm a character-driven reader. So, I am definitely looking forward to this. This is a book series that's a trilogy, and I think I can get it done by the end of the year. I've already started this one, but I'm going to have to restart it because I don't remember half the stuff that happens. I got to chapter 5, I know that. But I'm going to restart it because, like I said, I need to refamiliarize myself with the characters and the world. The next series that I think I can get done in 2023 is a duology, and that's called The Last Finestra. This is a book series that I started last year when it came out. The first one is called This Vicious Grace. It's about a girl named Alessa who is chosen by a group of people to be the next Finestra, which is this all-powerful being who is set to save her people from a war that is coming. And in order to do that, she has to train constantly, and also she has to have a partner that she is going to marry, and her partner are destined to fight in this war. But one of the things that they have to do is they have to link, and basically their powers have to work together. And like he or she has to be able to use her ability, and she has to be able to channel their ability and fight together. The main problem is our main character's ability is so lethal that anyone who touches her can die. And like I said, I enjoyed this when I read it last year. I was a little confused, but I really enjoyed it at the same time. And there's also a romance in here. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Oh, no. Well, first of all, this book series was written by Emily Thied. I think is how you say her name. And the second book comes out in December, so I definitely think I can finish this. I'm going to reread this one when it gets closer to December so that I can refamiliarize myself with this book and then also be ready for book 2 again. And by the way, this is set in Italy, so I love that because I've been to Italy and it's so beautiful. Okay, the next book series is a middle grade, and it is by Rick Riordan, and that is the Percy Jackson series. The Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And this is a 5-book series, starting with The Lightning Thief. Then we have Sea of Monsters. And then Titan's Curse, Battle of the Labyrinth, and then The Last Olympian, which is book 5. Now, I have a long history with this series because 1, I haven't finished it, and 2, I didn't know it was a book series until after I saw the movie. And thank you to my friends who told me it was a book series after I had watched the movie, because I enjoyed the movie at first. I saw it in theaters, and I was like, oh my god, this is a great movie. And then I insulted my friends, I guess, when I said that, because, like I said, they knew about the series. I did not. And honestly, you guys, I'm not surprised I didn't know about it. Actually, I'm a little surprised. Because I'm a 90s baby, so I grew up on Harry Potter and Artemis Fowl and whatever, and what have you. Those kinds of fantasy series. The Percy Jackson series was being released when I was in high school. And I still was reading in high school, but I wasn't reading to the point where I knew about every release that was coming out. But I did read a lot in high school, but I just didn't know about this series until the first movie came out in 2010. And then I read the first book immediately after I found out it was a book series, after I had watched the movie. And then I read the second book not too long after that, which is not my favorite. And then I read my favorite, which is The Titan's Curse. And then I started book 4, Battle of the Labyrinth. I DNF'd it at 150 pages. I remember that much. I think something happens at that point that I didn't enjoy, and so I stopped reading it. It also could have been because of a life event that happened. I don't know. But I do know for a fact that something did happen that made me stop reading this book series. But I plan on restarting it and then finishing it really quickly, because they moved up the date for the premiere of Percy Jackson, the TV series. It was supposed to be in 2024, and so I thought I had more time, but they upped it to December 20th, 2023, which is in 2 months, you guys. 2 freaking months. I'm very excited, but at the same time, now I feel like I gotta rush. But I know the first season is probably only going to focus on book 1, but I still would love to have this whole series under my belt before then. Wish me luck, and I actually might even do a vlog for the series. Let me know if you think that's a good idea. The next book series is also a YA, and it was promoted by Hyperion, which is a Disney company, I believe. It's called Royal Bastards by Andrew Schwartz. And this is mainly about a girl named Tilla, who is the bastard child of the Lord Kent, who is the Lord of the Western Province. And she, among her other friends who are also illegitimate children, come upon something illegal that their parents are doing, and unfortunately their parents end up seeing that they witnessed it, and their parents unfortunately turn on them, and then begins this long chase of our main characters in this book series. And it is so fun. I read book 1 in 2021, I believe. I have a review for this book, so if you want to go check it out, I'll link it down in the description. I think I'm going to reread this because it's been, like I said, 2 years since I've read it. And then I will read book 2, which is City of Bastards, and then book 3, which is War of the Bastards. And yeah, I am looking forward to finally finishing this trilogy because, like I said, I did really enjoy book 1, and the magic system is pretty cool too. There are these people called mages who can wield all sorts of powers. And there's certain kinds of mages, like there's mages that can heal, mages that I think can control the weather. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed reading about it, and obviously it's set in a royal type of situation, so I love that. This is Royal Bastards Trilogy by Andrew Schwartz. Definitely recommend it, even though I've only read book 1. Definitely check it out. I think it's that good. The next book series that I think I can finish in 2023 is The Great Cities Duology by N.K. Jemisin. Now, this originally was a trilogy, but the author since has announced that it's going to be a duology instead, and so she rewrote some of the second book before she put it out as a conclusion, because I guess that she had so many ideas for this book series that were just kind of too complicated, I guess, and she just made it a duology. I think there was also some stuff that was going on in her life. I don't remember. But N.K. Jemisin is responsible for the Broken Earth trilogy, which I have not read. I know I need to read that. But this specific series is set in New York. Boroughs have a life of their own. They're our main characters are avatars, and they are based off of the 5 boroughs or 6 boroughs of New York City. Like, we have someone who's named Manny, based off of the city Manhattan, and then other characters, and they are basically the life force of their city, and they have to stop these evil beings from destroying the cities, the boroughs, if you will. There's more to it than that, and I will explain it when I finish this book. And you can see my bookmark, because I did start it in 2022. I got 150 pages in, so it was a softie enough. I do plan on finishing it. And by the way, I was really loving this. I definitely think it's going to be a 5-star. So I'm going to quickly reread this and then read book 2. And then I might go back and read the prequel, because they're the author did write a prequel novella, I think, to this. So I'm looking forward to this duology. It's the Great Cities Duology by N.K. Jemisin. So our next series that I think I can handle by the end of 2023 is the Passenger Duology by Alexandra Bracken. And I'm excited for this, you guys, because I'm finally getting into my Alexandra Bracken books. This is an author I've been wanting to read from because I watched the movie The Darkest Minds and it had an interesting concept, and so I bought the whole series thinking I was going to read it right away when it came out. Did not happen. But this series is more doable right now. It's about a girl named Etta Spencer. She somehow ends up time traveling into the past or something, and she finds out she's a descendant of the certain people or whatever, and she has to hide from other people. She and this other character that she meets have to do a heist. If not, then her future is in trouble. And our other main character was set to find her, I guess, and force her to do all these things. So that's all I know about it. But it's basically a heist type of fantasy. And obviously there's time travel. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 more series to talk about. Okay, so the first one should be no surprise to anyone. I am a huge Cassandra Clare fan, and this is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy called Chain of Gold. I read it in 2020 when it came out. I loved it, and I was going to read Chain of Iron when it came out in 2021. But I just didn't get around to it because of many other readathons that were happening and other books that my friends were like, you need to read this. And I was like, but I want to read Chain of Iron. And that didn't happen. But anyway, Chain of Gold is about... is set I think a decade or so after the events in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is my favorite series of all time by Cassandra Clare, and also in general my favorite series of all time. The Shadowhunters have not seen much demon activity in a long time, so they kind of get a little chillax, which is bad. Because the demons ultimately attack again at this, in the middle of this book, and they bring with them a sickness, and they have to figure out, the Shadowhunters have to figure out what's causing this sickness and how to cure it before more people die. And also in the midst, our main character, Cordelia, is in London trying to find allies because of what her father is being accused of something, and because he's being accused of something, it has brought shame upon her family. So she has to restore her family's good name. And there's more to it than that, but those are 2 of the main things that are going on. And it's so good. I love Cassandra Clare. She's my favorite young adult fantasy author. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to reading this again. And then finally getting into Chain of Iron. And then Chain of Thorns I'm kind of iffy about because I've heard some mixed reviews. And I don't want to dislike a Cassandra Clare book. So, I'm a little nervous. That's why I've been putting it off. But I think I can finish it before the end of the year. Okay, the next one is a duology called Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. All I remember is this is set in space, and there is a current that flows through this through the solar system or whatever, and this current gives each of our characters abilities. And our two main characters are very powerful, and one of them's part of the people that start a war, and the other one are the peacekeeping kind of people. So the Shotet and the Novak people, yeah, or something like that. I don't remember. Veronica Roth is responsible for Divergent. If you're familiar with that series, I remember when this series came out. I think the first book came out in 2017. I didn't initially read it. I didn't initially read it. I bought it and then read book 1 the following year, and then I started book 2, and I just never finished it. But I was confused while reading book 1, so I'm gonna reread book 1 and then obviously hopefully finish book 2 before the end of the year. This will help me decide on whether I continue reading any Veronica Roth books in the future, because she left me on a sour note at the end of Allegiant, which is the third book, and Divergent. And I gave these books a chance. I was like I said, very confused. And I was just like, okay. So I'm going to give this duology a second shot and make my decision off of that, of whether I want to continue reading her books. And ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the final book that I'm going to talk about for this book series that I hope to read by the end of 2023. And that is the Ember in the Ashes Quartet by Saba Tahir. This is book 2, because this is the current book I'm on. This is about two characters. Our main female character is a slave, and our main male character is part of the people who are enslaving the female main character's people. And one of them wants a path to freedom, meaning to get away from his people because he doesn't agree with everything they're doing. So in book 1, he plans to desert, which is punishable by death. And then our other main character just longs to free her brother from these people because he gets taken in the first book. That's not like a spoiler. That's within the synopsis. And she has to go undercover in order to get information and hopefully free her brother. And that sets up a whole bunch of other things, which I won't go into because it's spoilery. And yeah. Anyway, you guys, I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me, and it will get you caught up on any other content I post. And I will keep you guys updated on these specific book series. I know that was a lot, but yeah, I'll keep you updated, and I might do some vlogs for these series to get through them, because Lord knows I need to get through them. Anyway, you guys, I shall see you later. Bye.